Yes guys, I'm back with another one, and I'm going to be talking about, was this BTC push up a little bit of a fake out? I'm just going to use a basic indicator like the stochastic indicator today, just to go through that. We're going to have a look at the S&P 500, we're going to have a look at the liquidation data, we're going to have a look at the longs versus shorts, and the heat map. Just a quick one today, guys. We'll also have a little look at USDT dominance and BTC dominance as well. So yeah, let's get straight into it, guys. So I'm on BTC on the monthly at the minute, just having a little look, just using the basic stochastic RSI. I'm going to mark out a few levels. So we've got a fairly important level here. I'm going to mark it from there to have a little look. So if we mark out that zone there, pretty important zone, as you can see. Got another zone of interest here. So from there to that low, like I was saying before, the only thing I've not seen is this zone here being tagged. It did fill the gap, which, you know, we was all talking about. This gap here. Let me just get my gap up. Still one there. So we did fill the gap, which was a CME gap as well, on the monthly, right around there. We have been bought back up. So don't get me wrong, the move we've had has been a 26% move, which is a good move. You know, you can clearly see that. If you're using the stochastic, it's a momentum oscillator, yeah? So the momentum oscillator is basically telling you who is in control. And I know a lot of people use it wrong, the momentum oscillator. What they tend to do is, they think, if it's up high, then it's got to come down. But, you know, it was up here, correct, and BTC did drop from there to there, which were around a 33% drop. But what they're not seeing is, you know, there was also another fair value gap there. Every time we came in at the midpoint, we got bought back up, got bought back up, got bought back up. Same here, what's going on? You know, we've got the monthly gap. And in the monthly gap, we are not closing below that gap yet. So, to me, I think that we are going to push. I don't know when, but I think we are going to push. But we've also got another important level that we're actually sitting at the minute on BTC. And then the one up above is around here. So these are the levels that I can see at the minute on BTC. So these are my watch levels as of now. The stochastic RSI, if we go back and look at data from previous runs, so we were up here, we dropped, we came back up, but if you look at the momentum were with the bears. And yeah, we did have a great push. And this is what I mean with the stock. You know, 136% push up while the stochastic RSI were down here. But you know, once we get below this line, where's the momentum? The momentum is with the bears. As you can clearly see, we came below this line here, which is about 10%. And a lot of people have thought, oh, we need to get bought back up. But we dropped 60% while we were down here. We did something very similar here, where we dropped and were below the line. Around 77%. So I'm not saying that we are just going to plummet down. You know, that it doesn't just happen like that. But what I am saying is, be careful with what you're doing at the minute. Same with the altcoins. Most altcoins that run are shit coins. People can manipulate the shit coin and they can make it pump. People think, yep, I'm in, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, they're wrecked. It's just how it goes. So, watching this, we genuinely could pump another. So, like from there, which is pretty similar, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Say we do pump from here another 100 and some %. Say we do that. We're looking at around 184. But if I'm looking at the drop, the initial drop here was a 50. We've only had a 30. So this is where I'm looking at. If we've only had a 30 and a 50, take 20% off that. So potentially up to around here, which will create another sort of double top scenario. Which works out at about 123, just using the trend lines. So, you know, like I said, this stochastic RSI here, it's a momentum oscillator. Use it as a momentum oscillator. Don't use it as if it's up here, it's got to come down. It don't work like that. You know, we could get something like this. And then we go into a bear. These are your areas down here, as you can clearly see. Here as well. These are your areas where you want to start to buy. So my initial thought on BTC many moons ago was that we were going to come back into this zone here. Around 30k, which is about 66% drop, which is not uncommon for BTC. But if we do drop into there, you know, these areas here are going to be buy zones. So, you know, we could do that, pump up, come into here, consolidate, and then have another run. So that's my scenario of where we could start to buy BTC back up. As of now, I'm still in some BTC. I am waiting for this initial push up because we have seen it previously. But if we do start to lose this zone around here, You know, it's not going to get ugly, but that's the scenario that we could be looking at, that we're going to be coming down to them low 30s. Like I say, I'm not too worried. I'm in it for the long run. I'm in it between 5 and 10 years. So, you know, the initial push up, I'll probably sell out up here if I get the opportunity. You know, we're not always going to get the opportunity to sell out at the top. But if I get the opportunity, I will sell out at the top. Let's have a little look at this is the longs and the shorts entering. So people are entering shorts at the minute on pump, bank, hyper, kernel, deep, banana S31. Longs are closing out on Bio, Griffin, all them. Longs are entering here. Alpaca, SYN. It wouldn't surprise me if SYN comes over into here at some point. So at the minute, it's very clustered. You know, jelly, people are entering longs. And if you have a look, excuse me, if you have a little look at the coins that are actually running, they're all shite. There's no real projects at the minute that are running. It's just all crap that's running. Because they're easy to manipulate. You know, jelly, SYN and Alpaca, they're all shit coins. And they could run. Whereas your real coins, you know, your nears, your renders, things like that, no, nobody's interested. They all want shit coins, which is absolutely baffling to me. But yeah. Liquidation heat map. We've got some liquidity lying up above at about 95.2. Down below on the 24, can't really see much. You know, we could tag into this zone here, around 91. Let's go to the 48 hour. 48 hour, there's a lot more. And it's all below us. Where everybody started to form a win here. You know, the general case is it'll come in, wipe it all out, go up, wipe all that out. It's how it is. 24 hour wrecked. Got the longs that have been wrecked, 189 million. Shorts, 141 million. Having a little look here, you know, this is what a lot of market makers do, as you know. They run it up, wreck the longs, wreck the shorts. Just like here, wreck the shorts, which they did fairly well. It really won't surprise me if they come up now and wreck the longs. That's just my personal thought on it. The S&P 500, these are one of my daily levels. Don't worry about them at the minute. Well, let me just get them levels off. If you're having a little look at the S&P 500, stood above the value area high at the minute. You know, this here was a pretty important zone where it tagged the value area high and it's bounced off. The momentum is still with the bears, but it wouldn't surprise me if the S&P, you know, this starts to come down here like this, going back up, and then does that. You know, they're all talking about a recession. It's not off the cards. You know, we could see something like this. A double topping scenario. You know, we fall into there. It might look bleak, but unfortunately, even the S&P 500 has big drops. You know, you can clearly see this. We've got 27% drop. About 35% drop. Oh, 08. It's what a big drop. About 60% drop. 2000. Double top. Double top. 50% drop. And at the minute, if we have a little look, what have we had so far? About a 20% drop. A 50% drop would bring us back down into here, which, you know, it could be on the cards. You just got to watch what you're doing at the minute, because they're out there to wreck you. USDT dominance was falling on the monthly. You know, on the monthly, it has started to come back down slightly, but just using the basic stochastic RSI, where's the momentum? The momentum is with people going into the dollar. There's the momentum at the minute. So I'm just saying we need to be very, very careful with this at the minute, because the momentum, you know, if you're having a look at the momentum here, even when it was down here, it was still going up. Even when it were up at the top, which it is now, and it came down, so I'm measuring the move down 32% for 220 days-ish. Here's the top. We continue to go up 60% for about 200 days before we did eventually start to break down. So you want to see, you know, if this keeps going up into these zones, you want to see something very similar to this. So if this keeps going up into there, as we're coming down, like here, we start to drop, and then we do something like that. You want to see this showing you that divergence, for then potentially for it to start to trickle back down. So that's what we're looking at in USDT dominance at the minute. BTC, I'm just going to have a little look at BTC dominance. Like I say, I have got a BTC underneath in spot. I'm waiting for this. I personally think we have this little run up, and then I reckon that's possibly going to be about it, which is going to create something like this on the BTC dominance chart. You know, we've got back up above that zone. I was saying this about everybody thought we were breaking down here. Just look at the monthly. The higher time frame is what's going to help you using the monthly. So on the monthly, where we are at the minute, if this continues to trickle up, you know, we've got the high. At the minute, we're creating a higher high, but a lower high on this stochastic. So if we're going back to this sort of scenario, or we'll start with this sort of scenario here. This scenario here, where we started to fall and went back up, you know, we had a 40% move, and it took around 396 days. So about a year. So about a year, we started to fall down, and everybody got happy, never took profits. But when we did this move, and this trailed down and came back up, that created a new high here, but we had a new low there. And then what happened? Dominance crashed 50%. So looking at that sort of scenario, and we're looking at this sort of scenario, we could have something very similar that's going to be happening here. We're having the move up. We're coming back down. Having the move up, which is going to create something like this. The move up, you get your divergence, and then dominance crashes. That's what I'm looking at, potentially. But it's not going to play out overnight, and it could take a very long time to play out. So you need to be careful what you're positioned in at the minute. And it was just a short one today, guys. Like I say, just be careful what you're positioned in. Everybody's saying, you know, you've got others' dominance here. You know, this is struggling. Total 3. It's struggling at the minute. And I'm not saying that we couldn't do something very, very similar. You know, like I've said, up to here. This progress is higher. But you've got your simple divergences occurring. Like I say, this is on the higher time frame. So just keep your eye out on these sort of moves. Don't just form a win because you've seen a move from BTC and you think, I'm going to miss out. Because it can, like I've just said, BTC can push to new highs from here, which will move total 3, but it will create a divergence, and then you're coming back down, possibly into these zones here. So watch what you're doing. Make sure you are taking profit. Obviously, if you're a short-term trader, you don't really care about these high time frames. But I'm looking at the high time frames. I'm an investor. I'm also a trader. So watch these zones. And yeah, that's going to be it from me. I've got all my links in the description below. Have a little look at that. And I will catch you in the next one, guys. Happy trading.